Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, I'll be going through my footy tips from round 21, as well as going through and tipping for round 22 of the AFL footy season. I did get in round 21 a 6 out of 9, which was top 7%, and it leaves me on 119 tips, which is around 59,000, 692, which is, I believe, around that top 7 or 8%, give or take. And that's pretty good, I feel like. So anyway, let's just jump into the tips here for round 21. The first tip was the Western Bulldogs versus Melbourne, and I ended up getting that right. I tipped Western Bulldogs by 19. They ended up winning by 51 points, so I was 32 points off there, but I feel like that was a really good tip, getting the Western Bulldogs to win. Then, for some dumb reason, I don't know why, I tipped Gold Coast to beat West Coast away from home. But Gold Coast are frauds away from home. Then they're not too good. They're really good at home, but they're frauds away from home. So, yep, they ended up losing yet again. And yeah, that just sucks. Then we go to North Melbourne. So I ended up tipping them by 11 and they lost by 10. I'm pretty sure they were up as well or something, and then they just capitulated. So solid. Then you get to the Saturday games, and North Melbourne versus Richmond. I said North by 15 and they won by 13. A pretty good tip there. So yeah, pretty happy about that. Then I did say Geelong by 34. They ended up winning by 5 and scraping home. I'm pretty sure Adelaide were Adelaide up in this game, or did Adelaide mount a comeback in this game? There was a lot of comebacks in this game in this week, and I didn't watch like any of this week, so I don't remember what was the scenario. I remember just looking at the match stats, effectively the box score for the NBA fans out there, and yeah, Geelong won. Then we go to Collingwood versus Carlton. I thought Carlton would have this in the bag, and they're falling off, much like the Swans. Carlton, you get the premiership favourite tag, and then you just fall off. So yeah, maybe we need that premiership tag flipped to someone else, and loudly flipped to someone else for the form to turn around of these of Carlton and Sydney. As yeah, Collingwood won 84-81. I'm pretty sure there was a shot after the siren from Mitch McGovern, but they ended up losing the game. I did have them tipped by 12 and they lost by 3. Then we go to, at least this is the last time it's mentioned on this channel, this game, as it's like barred from memory after this video. Port won by 112. It was 71-0. At least I was with friends when this was going on, but I wasn't watching this game, and I'm glad that I wasn't. It was 71-0. We were cheering a rushed behind because we were glad that we didn't have the outright record for the lowest scorer of all time. That's how bad it was. And when they kicked a goal, there was also a cheer for a goal, just because we were just like, thank you that we're not going to have the worst score of all time. Yeah, I was just frustrated, and I'm hoping that we finally get our key defense back, because we need it, because we suck at the moment. But hopefully it's just them just sucking for the meantime, and then when the actual finals come around, they'll actually figure out how to play again. Because I had Port tipped by 7 just because I knew that the Swans struggle against Port Adelaide. I didn't think it'd be a 100-point loss, or 112-point loss to be exact. But anyway, it is what it is. Then we move on to the Sunday games, and GWS against Hawthorn. I had GWS by 16. They ended up winning by 2 points. I believe a Tom Green goal with like 2 minutes to go or 3 minutes to go. I know he had a late goal. I believe he did. And yeah, they ended up winning, so I had them by 16. 14 points off there, but glad to get that tip right. Then you have the shock of the round, I feel like. Or maybe the Port winning margin was the shock of the round. But I don't think many had Essendon winning that to keep their season alive. Although it, with how it is, it's hard to see Essendon get into the 8, I believe it is, unless Carlton start losing. But I'm pretty sure Carlton have a favourable run. But it's hard to see Essendon make the 8, especially with their last 3 games having Sydney and Brisbane in. I know Sydney are playing horrifically, but it is Sydney, and hopefully they can turn it around when they actually get their players back, because they'll get Melican back next week, which means they'll have a competent defence next week. But it was shocking to see Essendon beat Freo, and I had Freo by 21. They ended up blowing it in the last quarter. And then the last game of the round, St Kilda versus Brisbane, I had Brisbane by 28. They ended up winning by, 85 points, so they ended up smoking them. So now we move on to round 22. The first game of the round, Sydney versus Collingwood tonight. I am not confident at all. Sydney are still massive favourites just because Jagoe is out, and Sydney actually have much needed replacements. Rampy for Aaron Francis might be, or when Rampy retires, it's going to be a long day when he does retire, just because I'm hoping Aaron Francis still isn't at the footy club when that happens. Francis, he puts up really good numbers in the VFL, but he just doesn't put up good numbers in the AFL just because he has to actually play on his man. I'm still going to back in the Swans tonight just because I'm faithful and I think they do turn it around. I know a lot of people are going to be backing Collingwood, probably rightfully so, because Sydney are in a horrendous run of form. But I'm backing Sydney to turn it around at their home ground. I'm going to back them in by 18 points. So yeah, I'm praying that they turn it around at this point, just because it's been horrific. Brisbane against GWS. I think Brisbane are probably the form team in the comp, so I think you got to go them. I'm going to go them by 24 points, just because I think that they'll be able to turn it around, continue on their form, I should say. I was thinking about the Swans here. I was doing multiple things, but I think Brisbane are going to be able to just beat GWS, and if they do so, it then starts to put pressure on Sydney to actually start to win games, but obviously they'll have already played. But it definitely puts pressure on Sydney, but then again, it can also alleviate some pressure for Sydney, because it means one less team up there joining them on 56 points, and it means that I guess it will help the Swans in the end. If it means that, because Swans are just aiming for top two spots, then you play a home final at the SCG and you get the double chance at the SCG. That's all that they're hoping for. North against West Coast. I'm picking, honestly, North at Blundstone Arena is probably the go. I'm going to go by West Coast have looked, they beat Gold Coast, but anyone can beat Gold Coast away from home. When Gold Coast are away from home, sorry. I'm going to go North by 17 points. Next one is Fremantle against Geelong. Geelong. This one is a tough one. If Fremantle win, then it starts to become very, very tough for teams below them to really get in, because it sort of log jams. It already means that 52 points could easily, at the end of this weekend, if Carlton beat Hawthorn at the end of this weekend, 52 points could start to become the barrier to getting into the 8 already. And that would mean, for instance, for Essendon to win 2 games out of their last 3 already, with 2 games to go. So that's why I was starting to find it tough for Essendon to get in, because they needed 13 wins, and 13, 1 and 9, I think it is, that they're probably going to need, if not 14. That's how crazy this season is going to be. But I'm projecting Fremantle bounce back at home by 21 points. And then we got Melbourne against Port. Melbourne are looking horrific. Port are looking good. I'm going to go Port in this one. I just think their midfield is really, really good at the moment. Even though Gawn, even with a foot injury, is still going to probably beat Jordan Sweet or Soldo, whoever they have rucking at that point. I think it's Sweet still. I'm going to go Port by 23 points away from home at the MCG, which is quite a surprise, to be honest with you. But I just think Port are in pretty decent form. If I look at that, they beat Richmond, they beat Carlton, and they beat Sydney. So they beat the 2 flag favourites from 5 weeks ago in their last 2 games. Whereas Melbourne have lost their last 3. They lost to Fremantle, they lost to GWS, and they lost to Western Bulldogs. But I mean, losing to Western Bulldogs isn't the worst thing, but they did get flogged. Essendon against Gold Coast. Well, this is an easy pick. It's Essendon at home. So Essendon will win this one by 21 points. And I think that is probably one of the easiest predictions of the round just because it's Gold Coast. I'm leaning into the hype. Everyone, I'm leaning into the hype. And if they lose, then that's just disappointing. Carlton against Hawthorn. I'm pretty sure Gold Coast have a game next week away from home or in round 24 away from home against Richmond. I think it's next week, round 23, that they have away from home against Richmond that they should win. So let's hope that they can break the curse then and not go unwinning away from home. Is that the saying? Carlton against Hawthorn. I'm going to go Carlton in this game. I expect Carlton to bounce back. I know that Hawthorn had a loss against GWS, which was tight, and they were in pretty good form. They're like 8 of their last 10, but I just think Carlton win this one. Whoopsie, I clicked on the wrong thing. I think Carlton win this one by, 17 points. So, yeah, I do think that Hawthorn are going to get close, but I do think they'll finish. I think I had them 10th or 12th in my predictive video, so that predictive video isn't the worst one actually out there, but it's still pretty bad with some bad ones in there. But anyway, Richmond against St Kilda. Everyone's saying St Kilda, and I do agree with that. 93% saying it. I'm gonna go St Kilda by 29 points. I just think their midfield is a whole lot better than Richmond's at the moment. So I just think that they will, in the end, win that one. And then probably one of the, if not the form team in the comp, alongside Brisbane, is the Western Bulldogs against Adelaide. And I just think that they will win that one pretty comfortably. I think they'll win it by 27 points here. So that is my predictions for the week. Sorry, I'm just trying to put a timestamp on there. And I guess I will see you guys in the next video, which will be on the... Will I do a video on Saturday? I don't know if I will necessarily do a video on Saturday. I'll probably just do Sunday ones, and then there will be a bunch recorded on Sunday for Monday as well, because I can't do it in the morning. Yeah, you'll see the next video on the Sunday morning, I guess, or afternoon, I guess. At 12 p.m. will be the next video, but I'll see you guys in that game review of Sydney versus Collingwood, and hopefully Sydney will have won by then. I'll see you guys in that one. Bye, guys.